At any rate, I wanted to actually read this. We're talking about the way that the view of the NLRB has changed, and there's this great Ronald Reagan back in 1985 talking about the NLRB to show you how far the Republican Party has drifted, talking about the NLRB building a, quote, peaceful industrial relation system that is a model for the free world. So the processes of the board, as necessary today as they were 50 years ago, provide a forum and an orderly legal framework for resolving labor and management disputes. And if you contrast that with what current Senate Republicans are saying today, somebody... Lindsey Graham.
He called it the Grim Reaper of job creation.
Right.
And of course, Lindsey Graham.
I think he also called it. He said, "In my state, that's a 4-letter word."
Yeah, South Carolina, not fond of unions, folks. The governor, Nikki Haley of South Carolina, said unions are not welcome in my state. And they've got
they're still around a little bit. I guess,
right? Yeah. Well, the
South
Carolina, so not as low as North Carolina, actually. But in South Carolina, Nick, yeah. I mean, and the head of the AFL-CIO there has beat a Nikki Haley piñata in the past. In an attempt to, yeah. I mean, these are folks that, I mean, we're talking about a race to the bottom. Yeah, there's a race to the bottom within the United States, and there are essentially two different models of, I think, trying to create jobs for your people, and one of them is creating high paying jobs and high value, high paying jobs that create consumption, that allow for customers for industry to buy those goods, and also focusing on infrastructure improvements like education and making it an attractive place for industry by having an educated workforce and having a great system of roads and other things. And then there's another model which is saying we don't need all that. We're just going to keep our labor standards as low as possible. That seems to be the model in the South, and that's the model the Republicans have embraced. And I'll say that in some ways it's all or nothing, and in a way, because we've had macroeconomic policies at the federal level that encourage the latter race to the bottom policy, you could argue that states like South Carolina are in that sort of position where it's a harder reach for them to start from the bottom up and compete with, let's say, a New Jersey and a New York and a California on the higher value industries.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, well, in any case, just to go back to the point we were talking about before, this is why I think it was just so critical at a very basic level. And like, let's not give Harry Reid too much credit here, but at a basic level, to have a functioning National Labor Relations Board and to get the nominee for the Department of Labor in place, because these are sort of just bare minimum requirements here for. And not in labor law already, which is stacked against.
And by the way, mind you, as part of the Republicans' surrender, they basically said, "We'll give you whatever NLRB appointees you want."
Well, they
were fighting, the president's appointees for a long time. Craig Becker specifically, as someone who had come from the labor movement, and but it looks like they've won it. And Harry Reid, to his credit, he said that the best day in my father's life, this is Harry Reid said this, was when he joined a union. I mean, he understands, and his father, of course, killed himself. I mean, he grew up extremely poor in a mining town in Nevada. I think that he kind of gets, in some way, at some level, these issues. He has insisted Nevada is one of the highest union density states in the country. And part of that is that Harry Reid said, you want federal money for your casinos or federal development that will enable your casinos to come here. I have one condition: make sure that all your workers join a union. And
right. I mean, I want to push back against celebrating Harry Reid as a defender, a champion of workers' rights. I think that may be a little too strong. But compared to the rest, compared to the state of the United States Senate, maybe he's
look. He's not an all-around progressive. I actually think it happens to be one of the issues that he's better on. But
well, no. But let's give him some credit here for making sure they have a functioning National Labor Relations Board. Something that I guess at this day and age, this is a major victory.